Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the Spokesman Speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Caitlin Lamb, and today, as we wrap up Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting in Des Moines, we're giving you part 3 of our special 3-part series with the winners of Iowa Farm Bureau's 2021 Young Farmer Leadership Award. We've already released the episodes featuring winners Michael McEnany and Megan Kregel. So, if you missed those, be sure to go back, listen, and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks in your favorite podcast app. Okay, let's head out to Tama County to hear from Cordt Holub, a farmer who is passionate about legislative policy and honoring the legacy of his family farm. Cordt, thanks so much for having me out to your farm today to talk about being a recipient of the Young Farmer Leadership Award. Tell me about your life in agriculture and where has it led you?
So I farm in northern Tama County alongside my brother Cade and my father Craig. This is a 5th generation family farm. We've been here it's going to be getting close to 100 years. I've been married for almost exactly a year now, and Krista is my wife, and she's from Clarksville, Iowa. So we've been together almost 5 years, and on this farm we raise corn, soybeans. We have a cow-calf herd. Recently I started a seed dealership where we sell new tech seeds for corn and soybeans, and alongside I do a lot of extra baling and some small square baling, which is fun, and some large round bales. So I enjoy what I do. This farm that I'm currently on was purchased on the 50s. My grandfather and great-grandfather worked this land, and ever since I was a young boy I've had a fascination with agriculture, talking to neighbors, learning from other people, and I'm always willing to learn new things, and having some real role models in my life like my grandfather to show me the true respect of the land and the respect of animals. It started at a young age, and as I grew up learning how to do all the things that need to be done on a farm, I've met a lot of people along the way. Recently in the last few years, I joined with the Farm Bureau, and getting to know all these people with the Farm Bureau, I've learned so much from them. I've gained a respect for other people's operations. It's been a true journey, not only just with the Farm Bureau, but also with other local organizations, working with the church and stuff. So, working with the community. It's a whole community thing when you're talking agriculture.
Definitely, and I'm glad you brought that up because when you think about this award, and it's a leadership award, and we know that there's so many different ways to be a leader, especially in agriculture, and you talk about the community, you talked about your grandpa being a great role model. What do you think it means to be a leader within the ag community?
Like I said, I enjoy talking to people. There's always something to learn from someone, and I've learned from I'd say a young age. It's not always what I know, but what I can learn from others, being able to talk to others. I can learn it from them, being able to come together to get other people excited about agriculture, to get other people excited about their community. When you have people excited about their community, I think it entices other people to get excited. And when you have a full community of people that are excited about what they do, where they live, it's truly magical, and it just makes for a good place to live, and it makes for a great place to be in Iowa.
People definitely are the game changer when it comes to rural vitality. Like you said, learning from each other, coming together to support other people and neighbors, or maybe even people that they don't know. And I want to go back to you talking about joining Farm Bureau.
Yeah.
So what brought that on? Was your family involved, or was this something that you set out to do?
Yeah, in the past, I've had family involved with Farm Bureau, not necessarily on the board side, or they were good, outstanding members. And when we talk about a grassroots organization, that's what you need the members. You need the grassroots members to be involved, to talk about policy and what needs to be done in their community. And so it started quite a few years back. Personally, I didn't know a whole lot about what Farm Bureau did. Fortunately, our president of our county, Emily Doyle, she was grateful enough to ask me one day, hey, we're starting a new board up in the county, and we'd like to have you join. Would you mind coming to our house and have a little meeting, and we can talk about what Farm Bureau does? And it really started from there. And once I saw what the Farm Bureau can do, where they stand, how you can meet new people, the associations I have with our legislators now, I love what I do, and if I can have an impact in the community, I think Farm Bureau is a great place to be to start that impact.
Yeah, well, and shout out to Emily, because you never know the power of an ask.
Yeah.
And here you are now, and I've seen that, you've been involved in the Ag Leaders Institute. I've seen you at Farm Team. Recently, I saw you at the policy conference as a voting delegate. So how have some of these experiences shaped your leadership style?
Yeah, going back to Ag Leaders, that was one of my first real big jumps in the Farm Bureau outside of just being a board member. I still talk to a lot of those people on a daily basis. I like to see what's going on in their part of Iowa, northern Iowa, southern Iowa, western Iowa, eastern Iowa. It opens your mind a little bit to see what else is out there. And, it's opened up my mind a little bit to not be afraid to talk to those people. Before I started talking to any legislators or anything, that was a scary thing. They're always on TV, they're well-known people, and I didn't feel like maybe I didn't fit in with them. And so after getting some good training from Farm Bureau, being able to talk with others, and they're normal people, they want to listen to your story. It's been exciting, going to DC. Not only did I never think I'd be able to go to DC, but being able to go into the agricultural building, the Capitol, being able to see the White House, and actually talk to members. It was real cool, just see how the inner workings are, and like I said, I've enjoyed the entire ride. I've made really, really good connections with some of our legislators. Some of them I talk to almost on a bi-weekly basis almost, and it's good to be able to meet all these new people.
So as we're talking, I'm picking up on a theme here. We're talking about policy. We're talking about legislators using your voice to enact change. Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that policy is kind of a passion of yours?
I thoroughly enjoy policy.
Okay.
Like I went back and said, these legislators, they want to hear your story. They want to know what's going on the farm. They want to know what's going on in your community. And if you can tell them what's going on in the ground, they listen. They don't want necessarily people screaming at them. And going back to a couple years ago, one of my first big moments, I guess, to see the impact of Farm Bureau and the voice that we have, I go back to certain Senate File 512 with water quality. Not only was that cool to actually see that get put into motion and see that put into law, but I've used stuff on my farm that's, evolved from stuff like that. I've implemented cover crops. We've gone more no-till type practices, minimum tillage. I've seen the difference that those practices can make, and maybe if we didn't have, certain incentives to do that, I might not have ever done that.
Yeah, and that's neat because you've been able to see, what was just maybe talks between farmers and a lawmaker become law. Mm-hmm. And then it's something that you can use to help protect our natural resources. So it's just like you say, it's grassroots and following through to the end. And that's incredible. As a young farmer, why would you encourage other young farmers to pay attention to policy? Or do you see any certain pieces of policy that people really should be looking at right now, especially either a young or beginning farmer who's looking at creating their own legacy, just like your family has?
Yeah, that really hits home here right now, especially, we've had an administration change and things are different. We've got to be able to work with our legislators. Currently, there's policy being talked about, with changing of stepped-up basis and stuff. That's currently could potentially impact someone like me who would like to continue this farm someday. You spend your whole life paying taxes, and then here we are again. Someone passes away, unfortunately. Boom, taxes, more taxes. If we can talk to our legislators and, let them know what it takes not only to currently uphold a farm, but continue the farm, that's huge. If we can continue to tell other young farmers, the impacts we have water quality, being able to incentivize people to our little small communities, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And when you talk about legacy, you've kind of hit on this already, but conservation is a huge part of that. And I know that's something that you take to heart here on your farm. Was that always something that was important, to your dad, to your grandpa, or is it something that, within your time, you've seen more of a change?
Going back again 40 plus years, everybody had a plow. You got to plow your corn stalks under. You got to work that soil so you can get ready for next year. Well, you take a little steps in a different direction, you maybe make the neighbor stalk a little bit. Different things can work. It might have to start on your own farm, but people will watch and people will listen and people will learn. This goes back to when my grandpa was really farming. We kind of started putting away the chisel plow a little bit. We didn't really plow much when I was young, but of course 60 years ago there was the plow. You start putting away the chisel plow, you start putting away some of the other heavy iron, you'll still grow a crop, and you can grow a pretty dang good crop. So my grandpa really had a strong interest in conserving the soil. Is it really worth your topsoil washing away? And then my dad, he's continued some of that conservation ideology, whether it be keeping up waterways, making sure they're in the right shape, keeping things mowed good. Every little piece helps when it comes to conservation. You do what's right for your farm.
And on your family farm operation, so who all works with you?
Yeah.
You, your dad?
I'm 28 years old, and I really started getting pretty involved in high school with FFA. I started an SAE project with sheep, and unfortunately, I don't think sheep were my calling. And so after that, we went into cattle, and I'm here with my brother. He's a couple years older than me, and my dad, he's still active on the farm and likes taking care of things.
You had mentioned earlier about your grandpa's love for collecting farm memorabilia and tractors and antiques, and I went and poked around the machine shed and looked at a couple of things. You have a Model B John Deere in there, a late 1800s corn planter. I even saw something that I recognized from my childhood. It's one of those like push mowers with the just the blades or whatever. I lived in Arizona. All we had was weeds, and I still had to go out and mow with one of those. So it kind of brought back some bad memories for me. But obviously, that's something that's also important to you. We're on your family's farmstead right now. You said your great-grandparents lived in the house that we're standing next to. Your grandma lived in the house next to it. Where the chickens are right now on the other side was a 1930s, 1940s milking parlor. So your farm is very much rooted in that beautiful tradition of Iowa agriculture. So how do you honor that while also, being a young farmer?
Yeah, I think that really exemplifies me getting involved in Farm Bureau. As a young farmer, I think if you can take those steps to get involved in your community, I try to stay involved with my church, try to stay involved with other local committees, organizations. If you can just take a little extra time and work with your neighbors, learn their stories, learn what they've learned over the years, I think you can add to your own operation. Just creating that network of people is huge for me, and I would definitely push others to just take a little time to listen to someone else's story, see what they have to say, and go from there.
And as part of this award, you are given grant money to give to another organization within your community. So can you talk about who you gave your money to?
Yeah, it took a couple days for me to decide who to do that, but then instantly, boom, I knew exactly who to give it to. There was a preschool that just got built in Dysart, Iowa here, and my grandmother was actually a preschool teacher. So they were asking for some donations to help, fund this new building, funded by the people of the community. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity to not only help add some money to the community, a great spot for people to raise their kids and raise a family, but this also honors my grandma, who passed away this last year with COVID. And so it's been a hard year for so many people. And if I could not only help the community in just a little ways, but also help honor my family, I think it was perfect.
What a great story, and what a great way to honor your grandma. I bet she was just looking down and she was just so happy about that. Because, I mean, we know that we want to grow these rural communities, and what better way to do that?
I certainly thank Farm Bureau for the opportunity for this award and being able to give that donation. With the Farm Bureau, I've also been able to be a little bit more involved with the community. Our local county has done things with local festivals, such as the Winding Stairs Festival. Just doing other things has led to more opportunities. Our county was able to create a grant to go to the local fire department, and this $5,000 grant gave them the opportunity and the ability to purchase some rescue tools. Hopefully they don't have to use those tools, but down the road, if they do need to, these are really portable battery-powered tools that they were able to purchase. And so without involvement in these local organizations, little things like I said, getting involved with the local community fairs and everything, I don't know if I'd be able to do that or have the inclining to do that. So going back to the Farm Bureau, they've really opened a full broad spectrum of opportunities and getting involved with the community, and it's been a good time.
So even though this is a Young Farmer Leadership Award, we know that your leadership within your community, your path in agriculture, obviously is going to not stop here. You're going to keep improving what you're doing. And what are your goals for the future of your family farm and the legacy of the Holub family farms?
Yeah, being this is a fourth generation family farm, it goes back a long time. The amount of stories this farm could tell. Obviously, I'm 28 years old, and I've only got a few stories under my belt, but the amount of stories this farm itself could tell is just amazing. I'd like to see that continue. I'd like to create more stories that I myself can tell to my children, hopefully someday, and grandchildren, and hopefully people down the road would have the same interest in farming as well as I did, and hopefully that they have the same inclining to take care of the land like not only I did, but my dad, my grandpa, my great-grandpa. It's just a true honor to be on this farm. Not only my dad, grandpa, and grandma, my other grandmother, my great-grandmother, all them, the care that they've put into taking care of the homestead here, making sure everything ran smoothly. It's just a great opportunity and an honor to still be standing here today, and with hopes and dreams that we can continue this alongside my brother and with my dad still farming as well.
Tell you what, you can tell from history to policy and conservation, Cordt is very passionate about what he does. And I am excited to hear what new stories he will create and pass down to future generations. It was so great to meet each one of these young farmers who all have a unique story to tell. And seeing the light in their eyes as they tell it, I know the future of farming is in really good hands. We'd also like to extend a congratulations and a thank you to all of the Farm Bureau leaders who have joined us for annual meeting this week. You are the foundation of this influential organization, and we are so proud to work on your behalf. With that, we'll wrap up this special edition of the Spokesman Speaks. Please join us for our next regularly scheduled episode on December 13th. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau. And thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.